Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday night action here at Darwin Football Stadium. We have Men's Premier League coming at you, of course, live on FNT TV via Facebook and YouTube. We have Darwin Olympic Sporting Club, the home side, and they're taking on Port Darwin Football Club. And I am absolutely ecstatic to be joined by a long-time friend and former FNT commentator, John Dean. John, how are you going this evening?
It's a pleasure to be back in Darwin, mate, and it's going really, really well. Very excited for this game tonight. Should be a Friday night blockbuster between Olympic and Port Darwin, both starting to find the back of the net, and we expect some more goals tonight. Absolutely.
I guess more on yourself. Your football resume here in the Territory obviously shows for itself. You've had some involvement with, of course, one of the sides in action tonight, Port Darwin, as well as a very experienced length with the NT-rep football as well. So you do know quite a few players around town. And how have you found the competition watching, I guess, from afar?
More unpredictable than usual. Always exciting. Not as many goals as I expected early in the season, but we were just talking off air about the way the season sort of panned out, and those top three sides, the more established players, Hellenic and Mindel and Casuarina, they've sort of found their form a little bit earlier. Hearts with a lot of new players in are still finding their feet, and the young fellas at Azuri, I think exceeding expectations to this point. They've been really, really competitive from the out. And Port Darwin and Darwin Olympic, our two combatants tonight, have been inconsistent and certainly started the season slower than both would have wanted. But they'll be up for this, and it's always exciting. So I think strap ourselves in for a fantastic 90 minutes here.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a bit of a memory to go back to the previous season where Olympic also begun the first three games of 2021 with 3 consecutive losses, and Port Darwin are just one of those sides that don't really give you an easy game. They've got a lot of competitors, especially now having switched back from a player coach to just play in Ryan Bailey. I think watching him on the field 100% of the time, if available, is a huge difference in that Wolfies outfit.
I completely agree. He dictates that team, and there's also been players coming back in. The bye obviously came early for Port Darwin, but it came at exactly the right time. They're on the end of some heavy losses to Casuarina and Azuri. I think 7 goals across the 2 games, but they came out after that, and they've had the FFA Cup loss to Hellenic, but they lost no favour there. They played really, really well, actually led for a lot of that game, and then came out last week and got 3 goals against Hearts.
Absolutely. A great comeback that was as well. And we're moments away, referee Tim Lay, to get us underway. And Port Darwin going left to right on your screens in their grey away strip, and Darwin Olympic, of course, right to left. And now Bailey is on the ball. Comes across to Drisi. Looking to get out of defence early there, and that's Jock. Wayward, heavy touch there, and allow Olympic to get onto the ball. Maybe just some early nerves there from Jock, a youngster, of course, crossing over from Olympic to Port Darwin, but I've heard good value in Ricky Fulton's team.
Oh, certainly, and you're always up and a bit nervous the first time you play against your old side, so you can completely understand that 30 seconds in.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, Darwin Olympic, the Reds, have somewhat of a resurgence last week with a 5-0 victory over Azuri, and Port Darwin here with an early opportunity. It's Benicia coming through, and Larini Akuria, fair challenge, says referee Tim Lay. Cristiano de Costa coming across there. Now Samuel Kwana coming down the left-hand flank, being pressured by Paul, and loses the ball ultimately. And that was much of a result possibly waiting to come for Olympic. A few early disappointing losses, and then they bounced back heavily last week.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and it's been coming. And the sides tonight, you watched them in warm-up. Olympic were on. They were here early, they were out. There was good energy about it, so I'm expecting this next couple of minutes here in this opening 10 to be quite fiery. But
absolutely,
that was a bit of a warning shot across the bow there, that ball through to Benicia.
Yeah.
If they're going to defend that high up the pitch without Tane Stevenson in the side, of course.
That's right,
then Olympic could be in for a long night.
That's for sure, and noted Tane Stevenson as well. A little bit of a lengthy injury. He does see himself returning to action after the bye with Men's Premier League action. Olympic next week do have the bye, and then following that is the Bass in the Grass Music Festival, where there'll be no games taking place that weekend. So it does kind of allow Stevenson that time to get back, and it's Sheridan being pressured. He does well to retain the ball, and he'll take the throw for his side. Goes long to that midfield general in Bailey, looking to go to Diaz quickly. It's late tackle on Bailey. Referee goes play on for now. Alejandro Diaz, the Colombian Trickster on the ball now. Gittins, a man who has begun the season in some terrific form. Now Declan O'Shea, the captain ever present, comes out wide to Jock and looking to get past Quana. He does. Cuts back inside and eventually tackled by a few Olympic players, but still on here for Jock. Very well done to keep the ball at his feet. Back across the other side, challenged by Reeve and Martins. Amidy's there as well, can release William Reeve. He's got Esper Mushigero coming on a run on the far side, and Mushigero gets onto the ball. Back inside, being fronted well by Gittins, just doesn't allow the Reds defender to get forward, and is one of those players I've focused this season is Jacob Gittins. Apart from being a loyal serviceman, he just puts 110% out there each week.
He certainly does, and you know, you saw flashes of this in the Hellenic game, and then obviously last week against Hearts, but the discipline that's come into this side, and Jacob's key to that. He's still very young in age, but a lot of experience in this men's Premier League, and Ricky Fulton, he has brought in a 3-5-2 this year, you can see that, but the defensively, you know, Gittins is understanding how to play that role and drop back and defend with a unit, which is, you know, another level that he's been able to add to his game.
Absolutely, and another one of those players, obviously Declan O'Shea. A quick counter-attack here from Port Darwin. Fisher playing a ball through, hits the back of Paul's foot at a foul for Port Darwin. It's going to allude to the re-inclusion, or maybe you can provide some insight. Declan O'Shea was missing from the competition last season, but his reintroduction to this Port Darwin side has completely reinvigorated their defence.
Absolutely. I think he only missed it for personal reasons. He became a father for the first time. Wanted to focus on family.
Absolutely,
and, you know, like all of us, you know, you take a step away from the game and then you realise you love it. And he was able to come back as a shot from distance there.
Fantastic effort. Dreesy there. Certainly knows how to get forward, and he's one of those players that will certainly nullify some of the Olympic pace. But, of course, yeah, Declan O'Shea just, he seems to just provide that calming reassurance in defence for Port Darwin.
Yeah, I'm not sure that calm's the word I'd use with Decky, but he definitely controls the defence, and he's a player that you want on your side. You know, he'll run through a brick wall. Mitch Amity will know he's been in the game tonight. Fair, of course.
Yep.
But yeah, no, he's fantastic, Declan, and a solid player.
Absolutely. And long ball there, trying to be played by Samuel Quana. Now it's Dreesy. Lewis DaCosta providing some pressure. There's a good opening exchange from Declan O'Shea and Mitchell Amity. Matete quick, and ball was offside by Amity in the earlier confrontation with O'Shea, so Port Darwin will come away with the ball. Free kick here. Opening 5 minutes or so on the North Crest scoreboard, and both sides have come out very, very cagey, both feeling each other out in these opening exchanges. And we'll see what the remainder of this match provides. And now Gittins on the ball. Benicia touches in and tries to get away from Niukuri. Late challenge there on the forward. Referee says play on. Lewis DaCosta now for Olympic, looking to get forward and play through Tyson Martins, and that's just some of the strength there shown by, as I like to call, the Great Wall of O'Shea, and certainly puts Martins aside there. Bailey goes now across to Dreesy, trying to get away from his former skipper. Of course, Dreesy, another one of those Olympic players from last season, and retains the ball in possession there. And of course, one of those players that was very influential in the Men's Premier League a few seasons ago was Isaac Paul in regards to his goal output. A slightly quiet 2021, but looking to hopefully hold down a spot now entering the starting 11.
Certainly, and if you go back to that breakout season that he had, a lot of those goals came off the bench as an impact player, you know, running against tired defences. He's had to find an ability to improve, which he's done over the last 2 seasons, to become a 90-minute starting player against players that are tiring at the same rate that you are, and he's been able to start finding that impact again. So I expect him to get amongst the goals as this season progresses.
Absolutely.
You know, he's had to learn to be that guy that he wants to be.
Spot on. And Port Darwin, of course, having to do a lot of reinvigorating. Obviously, Indri Prifty, one of their star players, departing the club for Hellenic, and almost nearly the other week, John, they almost produced a cup set against that side very well after scoring the first goal via Diaz. They certainly looked like they could have knocked out the Blues on a match that had everything.
It certainly did, you know, and I'll let you stay with this attack, and we'll come back to that in a second.
DaCosta now coming forward for the Reds. He can try and find Matete. Gittins will get there, of course. Matete and Gittins competing again. Gittins wins that occasion. Benicia now for Port Darwin. A quick counter-attack on the cards here. Looks to get past Mushigero. Play on, says the referee. Some advantage there. Paul now coming across the field to Jock, touches back inside for Bailey. Bailey looking to release long. Cristiano Da Costa takes a heavy touch and does well with the second attempt, but Paul's keeping him honest here. Brings Da Costa ground, and that's a foul for Olympic. But yeah, cutting back to the Australia Cup game, calling that one, it almost seemed as though Port Darwin, after getting in front, were going to get it done. But it seemed like Hellenic just switched that the switch on and came home in the end.
Yeah, look, I think Hellenic didn't start with their strongest side, and perhaps underestimated Port Darwin a little bit, but Port Darwin came out with that defensive discipline and with structure, and to be fair, created enough opportunities to probably be in front 2 or 3 goals at half time.
Absolutely.
But, you know, they pulled the right reins at Hellenic, made the change at half time. The subs came on, you know, McNabb in particular made a significant impact. But Port was still there and still had enough chances. And as I said earlier, I don't think 3-1 was an accurate reflection of the game that you called.
Yep.
So, yeah, very nearly caused an upset there, and not another night may have got the job done.
Absolutely, and such is the magic of the Cup. Of course, we had our final round 2 match on Tuesday night, Casuarina prevailing against a very spirited Garuda team, and so we're down to the final 4, of course, in that competition. But tonight all the focus is on men's Premier League action, and a spot in the top 4 beckons for one of these 2 sides, providing they can grab 3 points. It might come down to some mathematics on goal difference, but certainly Port Darwin put themselves in a very good position with 3 points tonight, as will Olympic. And Gittins heads that back for Rory Hood. Another one of those players, Rory Hood, who I've seen firsthand can deputise in almost any position.
He's fantastic. Obviously, with the AFL background that he's got, he's very good with his hands as well as his feet. So he deputises really well in that keeper role, obviously with Dominic Price going down to South Australia this year.
And here comes Port Darwin. It's Isaac Paul. Wide shot there. So that answers one of those questions. I was wondering, Dominic Price not taking into that pink strip this season as to his whereabouts, but obviously down south, there he goes.
Yes, university in Adelaide he is, and as we see on the replay there, that Isaac Paul's technique just let him down, lifted his head there, should have done better. But you know, of the top 5 players really from last season, you had Price in goals, he's gone to university in Adelaide. Andrew Henson's relocated back to WA.
Yep.
And then you've had Hellenic have picked up Andrew Prifty, Samson Mashimango, you know, and when you take those players out of a Port Darwin side, and obviously Roberto Ciclez has gone back there as well.
Yep.
It's a pretty big turnover that Ricky Fulton's had to deal with of key men from 2021.
Well said, and I guess that attributes to that kind of process of taking some time to fill those gaps or change your style of play to accommodate for obviously that lack of personnel. But you know, he's certainly got some decent football players to work with, Coach Ricky Fulton, that's for sure. And Will Reeve coming with a cross ball, looking for Mushigero, finds the midfielder. Now Mitchell Amity, of course 4 goals last week, will favour himself. Martins puts in a good ball. Da Costa's at the back post. Thought about striking it with the header for the first time, but just lets it come onto the boot. Now he brings it down under control. Luis Da Costa comes back for Billy Mellis. Now he plays the ball through for Samuel Quina. Dreesy clears first time, and heavy touch by Da Costa, loses his footing, and now Isaac Paul receives a ball in a great position here. It's Isaac Paul against Niakuri. Will Reeve coming back to assist his defender there and allows Olympic to come out of defence, and a good challenge there by Jock to keep that pressure up. Opening 11 minutes here on North Crest scoreboard, and some opportunities at both ends with some nice interplay in between. And now Amity can play through Tyson Martin's great interception there from Gittins. If that hadn't come off, I think Martins was throwing goal there.
It's absolutely going to be away to the races, and exactly the same fashion that Isaac Paul nearly was at the other end. And probably should have fashioned himself a chance, to be honest. I know it's not pretty football, but if he had just kicked that around Niakuri and run, I don't think Niakuri foots it with him in a race.
No, you're astute analysation there. And Bailey now strong challenge with Mellis. That's what Ryan Bailey will offer you in the midfield, and immediately onto his teammates to lift their pressure. And now Diaz back for Gittins. Jacob Gittins not afraid to head to Rory Hood, and clear view of play. Will look to put Port Darwin on an attack. He goes out wide to the Colombian, who was very influential in their 2-goal comeback against Darwin Hearts in their last men's Premier League match, and of course scoring in the Australia Cup. Now a ball played through for Benicia to run onto. Raw pace there shown by the forward, and Da Costa just doing enough there to win the throw-in. And Of course, the ledger last season were 2 wins to 1 in favour of Port Darwin, and certainly been a thorn in the side of Olympic.
Yeah, the games that they love. I mean, obviously, some of the more traditional, bigger games in Darwin, your Greek derbies and whatnot between Hellenic and Olympic. But Port really like playing against Olympic for some reason. Have ever since I've been at the club.
Yep.
There's always been strong games against Hellenic, but we just liked playing Olympic. Something about the styles, just produced good football matches. And I'm hoping we're in for one tonight.
Absolutely.
As we see there, neither side's really taking control in the midfield yet.
Yep.
And probably a bit of onus here on Will Reeve and Jax Matete running at Bailey and Joe Sheridan. They should be able to run over the top of them. They've got to move them around a little bit more and try and start to assert their dominance in that midfield, because it's sort of going end to end at the moment. No one's really winning that midfield battle.
Ball here now for Fisher to deliver, looking for a teammate. He's only found Neo Kuri of Olympic at the front of the box again. Rises Neo Kuri, looking to play through Amity. Might work out for Olympic here. Flick on by Martins to Amity, but now Fisher's come away with it. Back with Olympic very quickly. Now it's Jax Matete. Loses a shin pad in the process, but continues on with the play, looking for a ball for Martins. A nice defending there from Jock, and Ryan Bailey though for Port Darwin. Matete's with him. Eventually wins the ball, but Giovac a heavier touch there, and Dreesy does well there. And a handball given against Olympic, and that space that you were talking about, Matete finding himself in, just not quite the output in regards to his first touch there.
No, he's so talented on the ball, Jax Matete. You can take that space and actually pick a better ball rather than trying to hit the 30, 40 metre ball like he did there and getting it picked out. As Port Darwin have done pretty reliably in this first 15 minutes. They've tried that ball a couple of times. They've obviously pinpointed something that they see in the Port Darwin defence, that crossfield ball out to the right wing is an avenue they want to go.
Absolutely, and it showed dividends last week against University Azuri in a Azuri defence which held pretty resolute if you disregard the 5 goals, and Olympic unlocking that defence in a similar vein as the game progressed. Their wingmen enjoyed great joy, and Mitchell Amity, of course, if he scores 4 goals in a game, often Darwin Olympic don't do too badly. Now Will Reeve looking to play a quick fire ball. O'Shea heads. Alejandro Diaz looking to play through Fisher, but it was the opposite, number 4, Niyukuri, who brings that to an end, and it's rolled all the way back here for Hood. Some high press from Olympic there. Gittins, time on the ball. Play O'Shea, first time out wide to Diaz. Pressure again by Olympic, and looking to release Diaz. Benicia will contest all night. It's rolled out to Amadou, of course, coming back from an offside position, so that ends that attack. And alluding to Mitchell Amity, of course, has been a champion of the game for so long, and it seems as though he seems to get better with age.
Absolutely. Ageless wonder, Mitch Amity. Chalk him up for another 10 goals in 2025 and 2026, I reckon.
It keeps defying the odds, that's for sure. And of course, his last championship win was in 2017, and in the club's 50th year, you would have thought that would have been a fairy tale end to a decorated career, but on Amity goes in 2022. Very well, and Sheridan almost picking out Benicia, but Port Darwin remain on the attack and very composed. Build up here, Gittins joining the fun. Cuts back inside, goes to Declan O'Shea. Urgency called there from Sheridan, and ball will come that way. Dreesy gets past DeCosta. A few runs being made on the near side, and Mellis is there for Olympic, and now the Reds can counter themselves. Matete, DeCosta comes back inside for Cristiano DeCosta. Heavy touch there, gets away from Benicia. Amity is there to assist the defender, and now Mushigero coming back inside, the number 13 for Olympic. Tackle initially, Martins is there. Good work done from Diaz, and Benicia obliges that. Return ball for the Colombian, and now he's through here. Come back inside, 2 Olympic players to him to deal with, and now Niyukuri, strong play done to come away with the ball, although no options for him. Tackled there and gives away the slight foul, but some very enterprising play from Port Darwin so far.
Absolutely. Diaz looks dangerous any time he's on the ball, doesn't he? He's attracted a lot of attention there. Thought Larry Niakuri was going to try and put him on the other side of the fence. Probably a little bit lucky that he didn't get anything of him.
Absolutely.
Because it certainly would have ended up in referee Tim Lay's notebook had that connected.
And a very and a player, Alejandro Diaz, playing with, I believe, the affiliated Football Without Borders, who have that partnership with Port Darwin, but playing Div 1 football and making not just a leap to the reserves. He's come straight into the Men's Premier League and doesn't look out of sorts whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. And there's a number of players in this side actually that we're playing in Div 1 that won the Div 1 Premiership in 2020 under coach Ricky Fulton. And he's obviously got a particular way that he wants to play with the players he's got, and they've fitted in pretty seamlessly. They don't look out of place in Men's Premier League at all.
There you go. That's a astute bit of analysis there. And of course, Port Darwin still a very strong side in the Div 1 competition, and some good faith in loyalty shown by coach Ricky Fulton, and they've certainly done themselves well thus far. It's been a very unpredictable season 2022. Felt very unlucky and unjust not to pick up more than just a point last weekend against Darwin Hearts, and they'll look to take all three tonight. Thrown forward by Fisher, headed by Mushigero. Billy Mellis pressured immediately by Benicia, but the ball comes away. Matete. Tyson Martins is pulled into a wide position. Diaz tracking back. In he goes first, Martins. Mitch Amity goes to ground. Now Sheridan. Good touchback for Fisher. And Reeve puts in a timely challenge, and Martins going to ground, but very much looking at referee Tim Lay for that one.
It was an industrious challenge that flew in there. Here we see on the replay. Probably lucky he didn't connect, because the studs were definitely showing.
Got a little bit of the ball there. Wasn't all that unjust from Fisher. Good attempt at trying to win the ball. And
you're a player's commentator, I think, George.
Certainly, on second look, you do have a point there, John. Nonetheless, an opportunity for Billy Mellis, and on his left foot can certainly deliver a ball that can invite the head of Niakuri or Amity to strike.
A little bit too far out here for a direct strike, you'd think, but you might want to test Hood out early.
In comes Mellis, and not packing too much punch on that, but just a shot on goal nonetheless, one for the personal statistic book. And Rory Hood launches forward. It's these balls that could provide a danger. Benicia now for Port Darwin coming forward. Good strength and skill to retain the ball. Impeded twice. It's the hand of Matete, but play on is called here. Here comes Jax Matete. Now back for Samuel Kwana. Billy Mellis. Matete, heavy touch, and loses the ball on the shin pad again. But certainly one of those players as well, I think, from at least a reserves quality. But Joel Benicia has come into that Port Darwin side and possibly replacing that loss they've had in Agbasi, and certainly adding that element of their attack that they certainly needed this season.
Oh, he's got flair in his game, but as you saw there, as this ball's been intercepted by Olympico, he's come back. The midfield's let him down. He's beat the same player 3 times there and didn't have anybody to release to.
Absolutely.
He shouldn't be put in that position. You could beat your man one-on-one, but he shouldn't have to beat him a second and a third time without having to release and move forward. If they get that right, then he's going to create a lot more opportunities further up the park.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. It's often tire himself out before the game has really begun, and players like that you nearly need to nurture. It's of course very young Joel Benicia, and play on here. Reeve intercepts, and it'll be a Port Darwin throw again. Just past now 21 minutes on the Northcrest scoreboard. No score as of yet. A very even contest between two sides that are vying for their season early on, and seems to be an offside here. Of course, we also thank our generous sponsors and partners, McDonald's and the Northern Territory Government, for the support they provide football in all regions, the Big Rivers region, the Red Centre, and of course here in the top end. Now as Mellis comes out with the ball for Olympic, Kwana, good position shown here by Port Darwin. Fisher's on the ball, men left and right side. Here comes Fisher out wide for Benicia. The cross comes in, tackle made, and seems to be offside.
Yep. No, needed to do better there. Fisher had options left in Paul to play in, or he could put Benicia down the line. Took too long to make a call, and they didn't get an opportunity. 3 on 2 there. When the ball breaks for you, they have to get a shot on target there. That's the difference between being in the top 4 and not being in the top 4 in this league.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said. And Port Darwin, from memory, last season, certainly one of those teams that throughout the year were vying for that top 4, even towards the remaining few rounds of 2021. And you do take some of their results last season, a couple draws and an unjust loss here and there, and they could have been playing finals football, which you might be able to shed some light to, which is when was the last time Port Darwin were in that September conversation?
Been in the conversation. Obviously, we went down to a decision on the last day in 2019, but I'm pretty confident to say that the last season of finals football was 2013 after the premiership in 2012. I'm sure I'll get corrected on my phone if that's incorrect for the viewers at home, but it's been a long time between drinks to be playing at the point into the season for Port Darwin. Been there or thereabouts regularly, but you know, it's those tight games that you need to make sure of to ensure that you're there at the end of the season.
Absolutely. Here's one of those. Martin's looking for a quick ball on for Amity, calling for handball, not given. We'll have another go here. Lewis DaCosta having a shot from range, blocked immediately by O'Shea. Sheridan coming out with the ball. Does easy work of DaCosta there. Diaz now. Central again for Fisher, back for Bailey. Bailey looking for Benicia, and Kwana heads on for Matete. Strong challenge from Bailey to come out. And now the ball is on there, but Will Reeve done just enough to deny the opportunity. Diaz was in space. And block off the man on the ball. Sheridan will be another chance for Olympic. But yes, it does come to those games that you often settle for a point. Maybe one of those last week against the Hearts that may or may not prove decisive come to the end. But another opportunity here, of course, against a team like Olympic, which you've said Port Darwin have a lot of joy against, to makeshift another 3 points.
Joe Sheridan's just had a bit of joy there, because that was definitely a yellow card for blocking the free kick taker, which Will Reeve is talking to the referee about vociferously, but I think he's been hard done by.
I think so. He nicked the foot of Sheridan. Of course, a complete block there would have saw the midfielder earn a caution. Referees in Football Northern Territory definitely having a no-nonsense approach to their officiating, and that's one that will definitely back for sure. Thrown in by Dreesy, back to his goalkeeper, Rory Hood, and he'll go back into that same direction. Now Dreesy comes down the line, a long ball, Ellis heads straight to the feet of Alejandro Diaz. Coming now wide is Gittins, offering that forward run, and Diaz will oblige. Gittins, nice skill to get past Mushigero. And now Jacob Gittins continues this forward run. Paul makes the run. He's swept through beautifully. Gets past Acosta. Now Paul, saved by Geekus. And a golden opportunity for Paul to open the scoring tonight, John.
Fantastic play. Great run by Gittins there. Slid Paul in at exactly the right time. No danger of an offside. And that's what you want. You saw he nearly drew a penalty there, but, you know, got the opportunity. Couldn't quite finish it, but he's hit the target.
Absolutely.
And he'll have a thirst for it now.
Confidence will be up for Isaac Paul. And, of course, yes, Cristiano da Costa. Fortunate not to give away a spot kick. But here's another one of those players. Obviously just making the save just then is Christos Gikas, and coming across 2 seasons ago from Hellenic Athletic Club has certainly been one of those goalkeepers who's been a little unlucky not to get opportunities at the Blues. Of course, when you have one of Darwin's most premier and experienced keepers in Kane McAdam, he need to sometimes depart to have an opportunity at this level.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not a divide that's crossed particularly often from red to blue in Darwin or blue to red, but he's done it and done so really successfully.
Absolutely. Geekus being a mainstay of the Div 1 side in season 2021, of course, is also a mainstay of the Nycliffe Tigers NTFL side, and enjoyed some premiership success there, but now makes the elevation to the Olympic Men's Premier League side. Cross in by Sheridan, slight deflection. Geekus will need to bring that in to prevent the corner, and does so. Throws early for Mushigero. Touch wide here by the midfielder. He's taking a wing position rather than his usual number 8 spot. Lewis DaCosta all the way back to Geekus, and Olympic will look to come wide. They do so through Mellis. Poor first touch, but makes up for it again and comes forward. Now Tyson Martins looks for an early ball for Amity, but you're never going to get height beaten when you've got Declan O'Shea in the way. Will Reeve spinning away from Bailey and looking to play a ball. Lewis DaCosta wasn't quite on the trajectory of the pass, and a threaded ball here for Mitchell Amity having a shot, and Amity scores! Puts Olympic 1-0 up. A simple turn from the veteran, and with a left foot which packs such venom. What did you see in that opener, John?
Oh, it's fantastic finish. As we see the replay here, Port got to the ball but weren't able to secure it. The centre-backs were too far apart. When the replay was reset before, you saw that Amity had made a fantastic run, caught the centre-halves too far apart, and they didn't play him in. And he was frustrated, but he persevered, and this is a good lesson for kids at home. He's shown up again, and not 30 seconds later, he's there on a ball that wasn't as good, but he's found his feet, and once he hit it, it was never going anywhere but the top corner. Absolutely
well put, and a gilt-edged opportunity for Port Darwin only moments ago in this game, unable to be finished by Isaac Paul, and Olympic do what they do, and Mitchell Amity has opened the scoring here. 28 minutes gone on the Northcrest scoreboard, and here comes Lewis DaCosta again. Tail between his feet, and he can tuck back on his left here. Lewis DaCosta puts Declan O'Shea to ground. A block there. Martin's having the shot, and he scores! 2 goals in quick succession for Darwin Olympic, and is happy with that one, Tyson Martins. Another goal that seemed to come from nothing again, John.
They had their tails up from the kickoff. Obviously, they've just scored, and you know what Port Darwin have done well this season is not throw their toys out of the crib. They've not reacted wildly to goals when they've gone behind, but they just didn't have it there. Gittins with a pretty cheap turnover really led to the first shot, and then Olympic were quickest to react, and it was a fantastic finish from Martins to make it 2-0.
Uncharacteristic, like that's for sure. Port Darwin, they always a resolute defensive side, and I'm sure that they'll bounce back from this. 2 goals in quick succession, another ball given out, and that's one of those things that they say after you've scored and after you've conceded, it's that 5 minutes that precedes either outcome that's most important.
Yes, absolutely, and the reaction now from Port Darwin is critical to them not then getting blown away in this game. If we rewind 2 minutes at 0-0 with an opportunity to Isaac Paul, it was a 50-50 game, and Port Darwin, if anything, were maybe 1% in front based on the chances.
Absolutely.
And just like that, it's 2-0. They need to not throw the game plan away, react, and then get themselves back in over the hour that we've got left. There's still plenty of time.
Absolutely. Will Reeve with a long-range shot, and that would have been 3 goals in 3 or 4 minutes for the Reds, and another opportunity.
We'll see on this replay, it was a sweet connection from Reeve.
Absolutely, and Rory Hood may have had that covered, but we weren't to know. Shot over the crossbar, and of course Will Reeve, certainly one of those players who has elevated his game since his move from the Mindel Aces Football Club a couple seasons ago. Now a mainstay of the Reds outfit, and for Reds fans tuning in at home, his brother Dan Reeve is not far away from a men's Premier League return, and as Olympic come on an attack again, Cristiano DaCosta plays it to his namesake Luis DaCosta, and now Olympic go back again. But of course, when you look at this Reds outfit, apart from their veteran up forward in Mitchell Amity, it is still also a very young side, and I guess this right now, here goes an opportunity. Apologies, Benicia playing a ball through for Isaac Paul. Kept his footing there, which Cristiano DaCosta went to ground. Possibly, you don't like to see strikers earn penalties like that, but does well to stay to his feet and almost makeshifting opportunity for the Wharfies.
Well, he's got no gamesmanship in his game there, Isaac Paul. He's tried to hold his feet and fashion the opportunity for himself, and nearly did. And then, if you were really critical, you could almost argue there was a back pass there.
Yep.
But I think that would be being probably a little bit too one-eyed on my part.
And that's for sure. As to my point earlier, it is a very still young team for Olympic, and sometimes scoring 2 goals in very quick succession, they could get a little too excited, and so they'll need to certainly keep their heads for the remainder 14 minutes or so of this half, don't they?
Certainly. I think David Porter will be looking for them to try and go in 2-0 up at half-time. They've defended really resolutely, as that was almost a rugby tackle, but it did the job.
Just about.
Keep doing what they've been doing, getting to half-time and just calm things down. As you saw, they got really excited after that goal. Yeah, energy and enthusiasm was running through, but that takes it out of you as well. So they've just got to keep their head and conserve and make sure they're doing what they need to do to get into half-time with this 2-0 lead still intact.
Absolutely. Well said there, and of course, with Port Darwin psychologically at least having the better hand of Olympic in season here. He's not with the opportunity though. Amity flicking a ball quite fortuitously for Matete. There's a ball out wide if he wants it, but he'll try and come into the box here. Comes inside for Amity on his right, touches onto his left and looks to play through. Matete again. No nonsense defending, as has his 2022 season been. Dreesy just hoofing that out of play.
And that was much more composed from Matete. You know, there was an option at the back post as you saw the run coming in, but it would have required him to hit a 45-metre ball. Instead, he played the percentage game and nearly created an opportunity through mature play.
Amity heads there, but a glancing header just graciously falls into the hands of Rory Hood. And will throw short there for Declan O'Shea, trying to bring the Wharfies out of defence and reignite that first half of the first half form they had. Dreesy, nice back pass there for Jock. Sheridan to Dreesy. By Dreesy, and now all the way back to Rory Hood, who reloads and goes wide. Alejandro Diaz unfortunately couldn't quite keep that in, but absolutely it's prominent that Port Darwin do keep their heads up. Of course, they're not out this by any chance, and the chances that they've makeshift so far will provide that confidence for coach Ricky Fulton that they can come back into the game.
It certainly is. It's a foul throw there. It's important for them that they get back into the rhythm that they had prior to those 2 goals being conceded. Even if they don't get one before half-time, they just need to get back into the rhythm, and that'll give them a lift. And Ricky Fulton will address a few things at half-time that, you know, we'll see them come out in the second half in a much better shape. But this next 5 minutes is so important.
Crucial they are for sure. And here comes Mushigera for Olympic. Looking to play a long ball through. Amity off fortuitously. Declan O'Shea. It's Mitchell Amity, and Dreesy intervenes once again. Amity, of course, barreling down barrel of goal, and a little frustration shown there by Declan O'Shea. Possibly Jacob Gittins being caught out of possession, but nonetheless, Olympic, another attacking throw-in. The right half flank of Darwin Football Stadium, and of course Ward Keller as well, another principal partner. They are your personal business and dispute resolution experts, and they can be reached on 1-800-978-360. And of course Northcrest, you can join their growing community on Reuben Avenue in Berrima, open 7 days a week. Go in and see what they've got to offer today. And Isaac Paul for Port Darwin coming wide. Benicia cuts back inside for Alejandro Diaz, gets past a couple. Nia Curry though comes out with Olympic. Lee invades the challenge of Sheridan. Still Larry Nia Curry needs some options here, and forced to go back for Matete, and he'll look to skip away from Sheridan. Now there's 2 Port Darwin players there. Does well, Matete comes away from 2 and plays through Tyson Martins here. The number 7 for Olympic can come back inside, and smartly done there. Not many options, but earns his team a corner. Another, as you pointed it earlier, Jax Matete finding his rhythm.
He certainly is, and the midfield was so open. Nia Curry was able to take 30 metres with the ball there, largely untouched, and then shot a clean pair of heels to Ryan Bailey. A bit more of that, we'll see Olympic start to really assert their dominance on this game. Absolutely,
and many questions asked midweek of their match against University of Zurich last week. Of course, a 5-0 win. Was that Darwin Olympic re-emerging as a warning sign to the rest of the league, or was it a one-off? And so far, their performance has shown that they seem to be playing some better football, at least output-wise. DaCosta with a ball across the field. Billy Mellis will get there for Olympic and come back. Martins needs to do some work here to maintain the ball. He does. Looks to get past a couple and does so. Tyson Martins coming out wide and playing in a ball. Dangerous. Cleared out there from Gittins first time. Sheridan. Clearance there. Matete with a shot, and straight into the palms of Rory Hood once again, and he immediately plays forward. It'll be time here for Olympic. Cristiano DaCosta brings it well under control. Looking to get forward now. Cristiano DaCosta, William Reeve. Comes across field for Mushigero, who should get to this ball. Does so, keeps it in, and plays it forward for Luis DaCosta. Immediately wide for Tyson Martins, and good positioning from the winger. And look to cheekily flick through Mitchell Amity, but O'Shea and Rory Hood were very much onto that ball, and certainly, of course, there was 2 goals in a couple minutes, but that pace of the game has now reverted back to what we were saying earlier of that balanced midfield play. Of course, now Port Darwin slightly heavy touches, but they've kept their nerve for that other 5 minutes you were talking about. They're still only at that 2-0 deficit, and so still not quite over, but they need to start creating some more chances.
Certainly, and the midfield's key to that. There's got to be some link-up play. Long balls from Rory Hood over the top there to Isaac Paul, like we just saw, may create a chance here or there, but he was in a 6-on-1. There were 6 red shirts around him in the frame. That's asking a lot of a striker.
Absolutely.
With no midfield to support, even if he wins the ball to lay it back to. So they just got to keep their composure and play themselves back in for the things that were working for that first 25 minutes before the goals went in.
Absolutely, and having a quick glance at the technical area, there are quite a few names for Port Darwin who can enter the game and make impacts. Of course, Jamal Ahmed, who's been making some very, very solid cameo appearances, as well as Emmanuel Massimo. Both very creative midfield players, and they've got that reinforcer in Dennis Samoa, Deng Jock, and to my knowledge, a new player on the team sheet there in Paul Crean, unless he's a reserve player. Yep, it looks to be a new player in there for Wharfies fans to get excited for, and he'll hopefully make a cameo in the second half. And of course, options and personnel for Damon Port, the coach of Olympic, also. It will be Ricky Fulton that will look to change things up going into the second half. A clearance there and allowed to run out of play by Geekus, and will be a corner kick for Port Darwin, and Sheridan getting forward, as will Bailey. You'd like to think Declan O'Shea will fancy a trip into the box.
Certainly, but then he knows he's got to run the 50 metres back as well, so he's
conserving it. Yep,
exactly right. It's a long night. It's still a beautiful Darwin dry season evening.
Oh, absolutely.
It's still a long run back, but Ricky Fulton would love to be able to bring Dennis Omar on for corners like this. His presence is fantastic.
Ball comes in now for the Wharfies. Header glanced on, and it was Sheridan with the glancing header that went wide. Of course, it was Alejandro Diaz who headed the Wharfies in front in their previous Cup competition match against Hellenic. So Olympic will be ever present of their aerial threat, as they always are. Tyson Martins now for Olympic, touches the ball and looks to go forward. Amity not quite on the wavelength of the ball. O'Shea does well, comes out of the ball with possession and bundled over by Tyson Martins, unfortunately. Just a clumsy challenge there, no malice in that. Just takes a lot to bring Declan O'Shea to ground, and Martins just doing a little bit there to...
Fairly agricultural. He's strayed a long way from his left wing to do it as well. He's a little bit out of position, Martins, but Amity had him covered as the ball comes out to the right-hand side of the...
Play there, no foul, says referee Tim Lay. Martins there, closes down Dreesy, but Port Darwin come out with the ball. O'Shea looks to load long. He had Benicia and Diaz there, headed out by Mushigero, and Port Darwin remain on the ball now. Less than 5 minutes of regulation. This is crunch time of the first half. Live men's Premier League action coming at you from Darwin Football Stadium. Of course, Port Darwin currently 2 goals behind. They'll hope to keep it the same. Olympic will look to add some more pressure. Here comes Isaac Paul, though. An opportunity for Port Darwin. Thread through for Diaz.
Diaz was at least 2 metres offside there. He strayed well in an offside position.
Slightly offside there. Was it a matter of straying aside, or should that ball have come earlier?
Yeah, Paul probably should have come earlier, but this is the whole thing with regenerating a team. Obviously, Diaz is still getting to know Paul and vice versa. And usually you'd actually want Diaz delivering that ball to Paul, not the other way around. But yeah, look, it'll come. Both sides here just need to start using the centre of their midfield. They're both too happy to try and skip the lines and go straight from the back to the front.
Absolutely.
It's turning into a bit of a game of basketball at times, which is going to wear players down, and we'll find out who hasn't been doing their fitness.
If that's for sure. And now Port Darwin will look to close out the half. The stronger of the two, Gittins playing back O'Shea. Will oblige back to his goalkeeper, Rory Hood. He's done very well, apart from the goals conceded. Of course, both of those Hood could not quite influence. And now Dreesy looking to load Port Darwin forward. Heavy touch and play on, says referee Tim Lay. William Reeve, Declan O'Shea, now Benicia. If for that first touch, had himself in some space here. Diaz now turns on the afterburners and looks to get past Mushigero. And It is a ball off Mushigera, and it will be a throw for Port Darwin. Diaz eager to get onto this one quickly. Throws the Wharfies back into play. Fisher crossing it in. Sheridan and Matete. Win for Matete, but gives the ball away here for Jock. Jock against Quana. And now Matete gets back, and foul earned there by Matete. And it'll be Olympic free kick. And
you see on the replay here, Jock needed to drop the shoulder and take them on there, go in down the line. Instead, he stepped back inside into 3 players. And that's a confidence thing.
Of course.
You know, if he sees this back and he's watching it, and he'll see next time, if I drive here, I'm half a chance of either getting a shot on goal or being able to pull one back across that someone can tap in.
Absolutely. And a player like Jock would have backed himself. Amity now for Olympic, an opportunity for the striker to deliver on his left, puts it in. Gittins momentarily. DaCosta, Rory Hood comes out. Referee Tim Late sees nothing in that, and Bailey can come away with the ball for Port Darwin. Cut out immediately by Matete in space, can have an opportunity and shoots wide. But alluding back to that opportunity, of course, for Jock, he's skillful enough to, as you said, to tuck that shoulder down, back himself for a run. Worst case scenario, Quana brings you to ground, and you could have a penalty there. As you said, probably will watch this game back and think, could have done it, but there comes that possibly bit of nerves, form aside, his youth showing there a little bit. But that'll get better as the season goes on.
Absolutely, and he's got the right coach in Ricky Fulton to help him learn that. Right, football's a journey. None of us are perfect, and that's one opportunity that he'll learn from. Gittins needs to learn here as well with his, when he's clearing those balls out, not to put them straight back in the centre of the park, because it's going to come straight away. He needs to be clearing those into the channels,
yep.
Or it's going to be a very long night for the centre halves of Port Darwin.
That's for sure. Quana spins away there. Matete now for Olympic can come away with a ball. Plays in Mitchell Amity. Time on the space here to thread through a ball for Jax Matete. Brought to ground there by Dreesy, but play on, says the referee. Tyson Martins has a shot, blocked there as well. It's Matete again, back heel, and Gittins there should mop up for Port Darwin. Another half opportunity for Olympic. Reeve still on it. Now it's Jax Matete. A few touches outside the box, filling Lewis DaCosta, and Dreesy brings that ball up and under in the air. Fisher gets a header down, Benicia. And now Port Darwin can counter here. Isaac Paul, good touch from Mellis to intervene, or else Isaac Paul was in on goal. Quana and Benicia, nice battle there from the number 5 and number 9 respectively. Lewis DaCosta, heavy touch. Gittins will get across there. And now Lewis DaCosta gets inside. Gittins coming down the inside of the wing, and Lewis DaCosta tucks away. And that's another goal for Darwin Olympic. And unfortunately for Port Darwin, it was Jacob Gittins taken slightly wide, and DaCosta capitalises.
Just had him as he went through the gears there, DaCosta. Gittins didn't have the acceleration to go with him early, and then he sold Rory Hood with the eyes like he was going to square it up for Amity, and then just went, no thank you, I'm taking this myself, and went near post with a classy finish.
Confidence taken, and confidence shown by Lewis DaCosta, of course. And that brings us immediately to half-time. No stoppage time required for that one, and so round 5, match 1, Men's Premier League. It's the home side, Darwin Olympic, who go to the break with a 3-0 lead over Port Darwin Football Club. And what was your quick analysis of the first half, John?
Well, we spoke earlier about the fact that both sides didn't really establish a rhythm. Nobody was really on top of midfield, but then Olympic had a chance that fall to the feet of Mitch Amity. He was able to slot that one away. They got their tails up and got a second very, very quickly. And then the game sort of settled down in, and both sides were just trying to get to half-time. Port Darwin nearly did it, 15 seconds to go, and that was a fantastic finish from DaCosta. 3-0 is probably not a fair reflection of the half, but what it comes down to in this game of football is taking your chances, and Olympic have been better in front of goal.
Absolutely. We'll have a short break that will allow coach of Port Darwin, Ricky Fulton, and Damon Port of Olympic to have an opportunity to regroup their troops, adjust the formations, and tweak the play going into the second half. But as I said, a short break we'll have, and we'll be with you shortly for the second half of Friday night action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Friday night football here at Larrakia Park. Men's Premier League action, round 5 is kicked off with a bang. If you are an Olympic fan, 3-0 up against Port Darwin. It has been very much a scoreline that hasn't quite told the story. The Wharfies having a number of opportunities, and we can only assume that coach Ricky Fulton, what would you have expected from him at halftime?
Composure. You know, he knows how to fix this. The side did largely what he asked. He'd make a few small adjustments, but for him it's just about going out, resetting. You know, it's like the kids, it's 0-0, guys, start again. You know, we don't need to throw it out because we did exactly what we needed to do for large parts of this game. Just in particular moments, you know, they were found wanting. They addressed that. They're right back in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And more of the same, more or less, for Coach Damon Port for Olympic.
Absolutely. You know, he'll be encouraging his team to keep that intensity up. When they lifted it up a gear, they found that Port couldn't really go with them. If they can do that judiciously, then I think that they'll find themselves hitting the back of the net a few more times as well. And that's what he'll be imploring his team to do. Measure your effort, but when we go, and we go hard, and that's when we're going to get our opportunities.
That's absolutely right. And they definitely seem a side that will do that to you. Olympic, of course, last weekend against University of Zurich were absorbing quite a bit of possession pressure and learnt and knew when to strike, and ultimately earning 3 points last week, and currently on track for another this Friday night. Amity on the ball. It seems to be a foul against Darwin Olympic, and going...
Ball's out, George. It's a throw.
Ball out. I go slightly late from assistant referee Edwin there, but players are resumed underway. Header back from Fisher. Greasy has been very important for them in the first half of Port Darwin, as well as Declan O'Shea. Rory Hood now on the ball. Looks to go long, but finds a great ball there from Jamie Fisher. Brings it down, nice touch. Unfortunately, Mad Jock's is a little too heavy, but does well to win it back there. Off him and out for a throw. Of course, still only round 5 of Men's Premier League. Still not too late to join a club and join the action today. Of course, footballnt.com.au/clubs. Find your nearest side and join the action. As Quana throws us in, Lewis DaCosta back for the Olympic left back, all the way to Billy Mellis, who's deputising and filling in for the injured Tane Stevenson. Geekus now short to Cristiano DaCosta. Coming wide and receiving the ball is Tyson Martins, pressured by a few Wharfies there, and earns a free kick there.
You can see early that both sides are actually looking to play through the midfield. I think both coaches have picked up what we picked up in the first half, that the midfield was not even being used. They were just skipping lines, and they're already starting to see better play from it.
And Lewis DaCosta in for Mitchell Amity, and almost called it there, John Dean. It was, again, possibly Olympic taking the opportunity when it was there. It looked like DaCosta was in acres, and the ball came, and Mitchell Amity waiting at the end of it.
Absolutely, and Amity, he's got all class in the world there. He's got in between the two centre halves. The ball from DaCosta was first class. It couldn't go to anybody but Amity, and he made absolutely no mistake going back against the grain, and Rory Hood was rooted to the spot.
Not much the goalkeeper Rory Hood could do, unfortunately, on that occasion. It's a double for Amity, and the Reds are now 4 goals to the good, and not the way that Port Darwin coach Ricky Fulton would have wanted second half proceedings to start, but nonetheless they need to respond from this situation. And Rory Hood now demanding an option. Declan O'Shea presents, comes central for Sheridan, immediately under pressure from Matete. Still Olympic with Matete, does strongly to retain the ball against O'Shea. Matete coming forward, looking for Amity once again, and handball bringing it into that one.
It's cheeky, he nearly got under control with the hand there, but looks good response from Port Darwin there. He thought Rory Hood was perhaps going to go long, but they still tried to play out. So they're 4 goals down, but you don't want to see them go into damage limitation and stop playing football. There's a long time to go in this game. They can play short here and start to build the ball up, get some confidence back, and then try and nip one and see what happens.
Absolutely, and plenty of time for that. More than 40 minutes or so of that. Fisher loses the ball out, couldn't quite get to the end of the Gittins ball. Matete now for Olympic, looking for an option, slightly too much pedal on that one, and that accelerates out for a goal kick. And again, Matete, having won the best young player of the competition as judged by FNT last season, Damon Port now moving the player further upfield from his renowned defensive number 6 position. Do you think, of course, with a move like that from a 6 to an 8 or even a 10, there needs to be a new skill set acquired, and maybe that's why Matete lacks that final gilt-edged pass?
No, I think it's engine. Right, he's got to grow into that. He's still a young boy. He's got to get that fitness. These are big pitches here in trying conditions, and in that midfield role, he's going to cover an extra couple of kilometres each match, and you've got to find that when you're under fatigue, you make mental errors as well as physical ones. And so, as he gets the engine, as he develops over the next 12 months, 2 years, you'll start to make better decisions, make those passes that his skill set is capable of making.
Absolutely. I mean, he's definitely shown that in spades, and Bailey with a strong challenge. It comes out for Diaz here. Paul offering offside. He comes back into an onside position. Meanwhile, Sheridan, nice turn away from Quana. Cuts back inside. Bailey's there to receive the ball and launch his side forward. Majok Jock. Mushigero's there. Plays it to Jax Matete. Now it's Luis de Costa. Comes away from Jock and plays the return ball for Mushigero. Mushigero looking to thread through Tyson Martin's heavy touch. Lets him down. Rory Hood's able to clear it long, and once again, Mushigero, if not for the heavy touch, Martins had a date with Hood there.
Most definitely, and I'll tell you one thing we can do is try and get Jax Matete some red tape. He's lost his shin pads at least a dozen times tonight. Every time he goes into a challenge or tries to run, he loses it. Can we sort that out?
It's a statistic that certainly would be clocking up for sure. More times out of the sock than goals, I think, so far. But Matete, as mentioned, on the ball. Fisher trying to launch it forward. Tyson Martin's there. William Reeve turns away and retains the ball. Nice dink the ball over for Samuel Quana on his left foot. Favours a delivery, but no one but Rory Hood there to gather for the Wharfies. And now Benicia Jock, tackled by DeCosta, William Reeve, and Mitchell Amity in an offside position. Port Darwin really need to get on with some possession, have some passages of play, and re-establish that confidence they had in the first half.
Yeah, and you can see the confidence is lacking. A lot of passes not finding feet here. They're trying to play it out, but they're just a metre off and they're turning it over too cheaply, and that's leading to more gilt-edged chances for Olympic.
Absolutely, and Olympic again on the overlapping counter-attack. Samuel Quana enjoying some acres here, getting forward, comes back outside. He's got Luis de Costa there, looking to thread through Quana and off a Port Darwin defender, and that's out for a corner kick. And
he's got a little bit lucky there, Quana. Mitch Amity showed for him perfectly, and when a player of Mitch's class and quality is showing like that and demanding the ball, you give it to him. And he went around him, and I'm sure Mitch will let him know later, hey, next time you just put that at my feet, keep going with your run and I'll put you in space.
Of course. Whether it would have gone back is a different question, of course. Now Amity on his hat trick, but he's very much a team player. Who would have, you thought, played Quana, but you never know. And now Quana with a delivery coming inside the box. Near Curry's there, and
good clearance from Near Curry.
His head just got under the ball there. Nice central defender's header.
He found himself in acres of space. I'm sure we'll see a replay come up shortly, but it was a fantastic run, and he just craned his head and got underneath the ball, and it never looked goal bound, but brilliant run. Amazed how he found himself in that much space.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a central defender's clearance for sure. The defender getting forward to influence the corner kick, and despite the off-target attempt, you do chalk that down slightly in your confidence book to say, I got forward for the corner. I did get onto the end of it. It's just now turning that direction to goal next time.
Look, as a defender, it's the most frustrating thing because you've got to get all the way up there. We don't get many opportunities to get on there, and he'll know that he should have hit the target there. Because he may not get another one like that for another couple of weeks, because it was a fantastic ball in and found him fair and square 5 yards out.
Of course, and for those just joining us now, it's Darwin Olympic who have currently a 4-0 advantage here at Darwin Football Stadium, and the voice alongside me is, of course, John Dean, who former men's Premier League player here for Port Darwin and coach as well with the Northern Knights representative side, who's no stranger, I hear, to scoring a couple goals himself, that's for sure. A couple long-range attempts I've seen.
So you've been doing your homework, have you, Jordan?
and some celebrations to go with that as well. And now here comes Dreesy down the wing. Rides the challenge of Dreesy was Quana and earns himself, I believe, a free kick. But
he's so fast across the ground, Dreesy. I mean, I'd love to see him in a foot race with Mark Casemiro, to be fair. But his wholehearted commitment to a challenge, he was never going to do anything but try and put the ball, over into the next suburb and take the opposition player with it. And at times, like then, you can get a little bit out of control with that. You love that aggression and commitment, but he just needs to measure it. It's controlled aggression.
Yes, absolutely. I believe Dreesy has earned a caution or two this season. I could be mistaken, but it is that 110% high-octane football that is what sometimes gets the defender in the book. But now Fisher comes away with the ball here for Port Darwin, rides the challenge of Matete and Reeve well, allows now Dreesy to bomb forward for Port Darwin and utilise his pace. Quana keeps the position though. It's still alive for Port Darwin here eventually, but brought under control by Lewis DaCosta in his defensive half for Olympic. Quana returns it back, but its pocket is picked there, and once again Sheridan losing out the ball. Jax Matete touches it down for Olympic, looks to release early. Bailey denies that opportunity, and now giving the ball away again, Port Darwin, and thus far so is Olympic. Gittins with plenty of time to come back and allow his team a quick breather and reshape here. Back for Declan O'Shea. Pressure on by Tyson Martins, got rid of it the last second, and referee obliges and earns a free kick.
And that's the confidence piece there. Port Darwin pick up a ball that's been turned over and then can't string together some 5-metre triangle passes to play their way out of trouble that they were doing earlier in the game. So they're well capable of it. It's not like we're talking about weeks ago. They were doing it an hour ago. They've just got to settle and try and get that confidence back, get a few balls to feet, and start to play themselves back into this game.
It's Olympic on the ball. Heavy touch from Amity just under the boot. Sees it come back to the way of Port Darwin, but Nyukuri wins the ball back for Olympic. Frustration feeling within Darwin Football Stadium for the Port Darwin side, but they're still in this yet. Francis Dreesy, Jacob Gittins, time on the ball, comes inside and looking for an option, goes short for Fisher, and Fisher, nice ball for Sheridan. Composure is required here, plays a nice ball for Paul. DaCosta rises well. Jock's there. Reeve will get to the ball and play crossfield for Samuel Quana. Take a few touches now and get forward the left back. He's got Lewis DaCosta and is having a shot wide. And like last week with a couple of long-range attempts from Port Darwin, in particular Gittins, if you're a left back or a right back, even a centre back, getting forward in an opportunity like that, a couple goals up, I'm sure your teammates won't be too angry at you for a long-range attempt.
Oh, I think they'll be telling you there's a reason you're playing in the back line. Leave the shooting to us. But look, we're entitled to take an effort there, but never really looked goal-bound. You talk about long-range efforts. Shoshone's last week, Thompson, that was 45 metres out. I
believe Port Darwin scored a hat-trick of long-range attempts last weekend. It was a fantastic opportunistic way just to score some goals. I believe it was Thompson, Fisher, and
Gittins, absolutely. Yeah. Gittins was the pick of the bunch from distance. It was the only one from general play. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Olympic now looking to come back the other way. Matete composed under the ball, the midfielder. Slightly short ball for Quana, but makes it work. William Reeve turns himself into danger, and now Jock. Fisher with a strong challenge on Reeve. Comes out for Olympic. Esper Mushigero. Short balls on there for Mitchell Amity, and now Amity goes wide for Tyson Martins, streaming down the line. Out wide here. Tyson Martins turns back towards the corner flag, and about to say it's a little too early for that kind of football, but just probably trying to maintain his team on the ball, and he's done through a throw.
Yeah, didn't see an option early in the middle. Gittins had him well covered and decided that discretion was the better part of valor there, but brilliant play to play him in the first place there from Mushigero and then on from Amity. Could have been another opportunity if he was just half a yard quicker.
And now Benicia, using his strength and pace to stay with Quana, does well. Wins his team the throw-in, and approaching very shortly that 60th minute mark on the North Crest scoreboard, and you think some changes are in the offing, John?
100%. I mean, I can't see Martins finishing the game out. You'd think for sure that he'll be coming off, and you think Port's got to roll the dice here. Ricky's got to make a couple of changes and try and impact this game. Diaz hasn't had the impact in the start of this second half that he had at the beginning of the game, so he needs to either get him more involved or take him off. Whether that's a formational change, I'm not sure, but certainly as we've said, there appears to be some subs warming up now. We'll see the changes that they're going to make.
Absolutely, a couple men on deck here, and get yourself, John, just to run us through these changes as they come.
Yeah, so it looks like Ryan Bailey and is it Dreesy that are coming off?
It's Majok Jock.
Majok's come off.
Majok Jock and Ryan Bailey make way, and I believe Paul Crean and I believe that's Massimo.
Yeah, Emmanuel Massimo coming on. So Crean looks like he's going into centre half, so he'll partner Declan O'Shea by the look of that. We'll see how that works out. And I think Massimo might be going into right back and pushing Dreesy further forward. They're going to try and use his pace and have him running at defenders here and see if they can't create some opportunities. So they must have practiced at training. But yeah, it'd be good to see Francis in a little bit more space rather than just covering up for Declan O'Shea and Gittins at the back. Absolutely.
That could definitely unlock a door that was previously closed for Port Darwin, and now, Dreesy very much so occupying a right wing position. It's Olympic on the ball though, and Mushigera coming away with it. It's got Gittins and Diaz there for company, and takes on both players, and running out of space there, but does well to maintain the ball. Mushigera getting away from a few. Mushigera plays in for Reeve, and Reeve having an attempt that was blocked almost immediately, and Mushigera challenges there with, I believe, Fisher, and that's out for a goal kick, but nice opportunity.
Yeah, so the number of changes for Port Darwin and also the positional changes. So obviously Diaz come across to this left-hand side. He was over on the right. It's just upset their rhythm defensively. So they just need to make sure they can adjust to this now, sort it out. You got away with that one there, but you can't have too many more of those. We've got to get straight back into the rhythm.
Absolutely, and so it's a debut as well for Paul Crean in the Men's Premier League. He looks also like a very formidable centre-half to partner Declan O'Shea, and we'll see if he makes his way into the starting 11 as the weeks go by. On the ball now, Crean. Good distribution. And now it's Joel Benicia looking to turn away from Mellis. He did so, but luckily for Mellis, Quana was also there to ensure that there was no real danger on the Reds' goal. He comes inside for Matete. Poor pass. Massimo, the other substitute for Port Darwin, laying it back to his captain, the ever-reliable Declan O'Shea. Sheridan now comes back inside Fisher, but Matete was there and he's equally given the ball away. Massimo, Sheridan, now Crean. Pressure by Amity, but he does well to play a ball out, if not for Mushigero. Now Esper Mushigero playing a ball across for Luis da Costa, and slightly clipped there. The referee says nothing doing, and play on Port Darwin. Da Costa remains down. Now Declan O'Shea, deflection off the ball, and play on is the call here. Matete goes to ground. Port Darwin on an attack here. Shot from Declan O'Shea, and possibly just a shot to allow him to recover his defensive position.
He shouldn't be in the position to be having to chip little balls in there as a centre-half getting forward. He needed Sheridan and Diaz to be there to show for him so he could lay that off and get back into position.
Absolutely.
Midfield's just not creating enough options. As Diaz is down here on the wing with Amity, who's rather theatrically goes to ground but picks up the foul all the same, George.
Nonetheless, experience certainly pays off there for Mitchell Amity. Of course, Diaz possibly just letting him know that he's 1-1 over him there. Another substitute for Coach Ricky Fulton. And
it's young Jamal Ahmed will be coming on. Ability to try and change the game here. He can try and control that in midfield and maybe generate a little bit more for Port Darwin in that space. But it looks, if Joel Benicia's coming off, that it might be a straight swap up front.
Yep.
Which is surprising because Benicia's been a real avenue to goal for Port Darwin.
He certainly has. Possibly, as mentioned before with your comments on fatigue, he certainly was in and around the action quite a bit, possibly just gave all he could, and Ricky Fulton's picked up on that and just said, you know, there's always next week.
Oh, certainly. Look, watching him walk off there, he looks gassed. He hasn't got anything left in the tank. He's spent all his petrol tickets, but there's a dangerous area for a ball in, right in the 6-yard box, and Hood's claimed.
Very well. Rose to the occasion there. Not quite at the height required for an Olympic threat to goal. Strong challenge immediately. Referee says nothing doing. Niakuri, an Olympic pounce here. Reeve quite looking for a ball. But Tyson Martins will look to keep this one in, and he has done. Asking for Gittins to come across, and has done just enough to win a corner, I believe. And thought referee Tim Lay wanted to signal for a goal kick, but
I think it's a throw.
Throw in
that far corner.
Yep, sure is. Now Mushigero, he throws to Martins. Gittins gets there momentarily. Still Mushigero, cross comes in, O'Shea misses. Dreesy clears once again. Niokuri. Now Billy Mellis. On the ball again, the centre half. Matete cleared out by Declan O'Shea. Olympic come back onto the ball. It's Mitchell Amity. Crossover in for Tyson Martins, who's in some space here. Tyson Martins skips away from Gittins, and Martins shoots up against Paul Crean, and in acres of space was Tyson Martins there by himself.
Too much space there between Crean and Gittins that allowed the ball to be played in to Martins, and you know he wasn't able to get the ball out from under his feet and get a shot off early. But they need to fix their defensive spacings there between Gittins and Crean with O'Shea. And Crean had been sucked too far over towards Declan O'Shea, gravitating towards the ball that created the space in behind there that Port Darwin were pretty lucky to get away with.
And they might not escape altogether. It is a corner kick for Darwin Olympic, and on the left foot of Lewis Acosta to deliver, which he does. Looking for players to rise. Hood fists with two hands very comfortably. Kwana's there for Olympic. Tackled very well there by Dreesy. Attacking pressure there. Now it's come out to Jamal Ahmed, and just ran out of real estate there and goes out for a throw. But immediately you saw the presence and look to counter-attack from Dreesy.
Yeah, definitely, and the ability to win that challenge in the midfield. As looks like that's the end of Mitch Amity's night. There won't be a hat-trick tonight for Mitchell, but that's still 6 goals in the last couple of weeks for him.
He's on 7, I believe,
7.
now.
Yeah, not a bad return. Not even a third of the way through the season.
7 goals tonight. Mitchell Amity, duly noted by the crowd in attendance tonight. And now it's the young Ponlu Yin who enters the fray. Of course, making his comeback season over the last 2 campaigns, troubled with injury. Now the young number 19 is on for the remainder 25 minutes or so of remaining time. We'll see what Ponlu can do. Crean coming away with the ball for Port Darwin. They need to stay strong here in these latter stages. Now Gittins, who's come to a back position, and Mushigero mops up for Olympic, and William Reeve, Niokuri, who's advanced forward, joining the attack, and plays Tyson Martins. Back for Reeve, and coming off Reeve there, and the ball stays in play. Rory Hood. Goalkeeper goes wide to Crean again. Already seen as quite a fish on his left foot. Nice delivery there, but just fortunately off target. Niokuri, now Matete. Opportunity here for Olympic, and looking to get past a few there. And a foul there on Matete. Earns the first caution of the game to O'Shea.
Declan O'Shea there trying to argue the point that he's got the ball, but really where that came from, Crean didn't play the ball to feet, and Ahmed let him know about it too, that he wanted that ball. He skipped the lines like we talked about before, and the ball's come straight back the other way and created an opportunity that put Declan O'Shea in a position that he wasn't able to foot it with the youngster and had to bring him down.
Is it more or less as a defender, John, one of those challenges where you don't make the challenge and you're a threat at going further goal behind, and is it just one that you need to make?
Absolutely. O'Shea, he's played a lot of football. He understands what he needed to do. He would have loved to have got there and taken the ball. Once he knows he can't, he has to bring him down. Thankfully, he's not the last man. It's not rash. Nobody's getting hurt there, but he has to bring him down there.
Experience shown there by Declan O'Shea. It is an opportunity for Darwin Olympic, and Ponlu Yin, the man who's made the return this season, has shown the confidence to grab the ball and take this one under his shoulder. Focus shown by the young man.
He's just got to hit the target. He's got to test Hood here. Be a fantastic substitution if he can come on and hit the target here and extend the lead to 5.
His first involvement is a dead ball. Ponlu Yin, whistle blown. And Ponlu Yin comes in and gets a deflection on the way through. Tell you what, the trajectory of that looks goal threatening.
Looks good. Ball did its job.
hopefully.
Big wall too. Crean's tall timber.
He certainly Paul Crean in some stature there. Ball comes in now for Olympic and a back. Oh, audacious attempt from Luis Da Costa. Apologies, the ball is still in the box here. And Ponlu Yin outside of the foot attempt. And that may go down ultimately as an own goal, but it's come off the foot of Ponlu Yin. And that's some involvement from the man on the return.
Well, that was an audacious attempt at the overhead bicycle kick, as we see here on the replay, and then even more audacious for Ponlu to take this with the outside of the boot. It's definitely goal bound when it takes the deflection. Give him that. Credit the goal to Pon there, but yeah, he's been on the field 60 seconds, had a free kick that was very, very dangerous, and then he's just extended the lead to 5. So he'll be up and about for the next couple of minutes, George.
That's for sure, and looks like the end of the night for the Electric St Martins, and another one of those players who's been ever present and dangerous tonight for Darwin Olympic, and who looks to come on to replace him, John.
It's the number 16 that's coming on, George. I said before he was looking a little bit fatigued, like he wasn't going to be able to see the game out. And it's so Simon Diaz that makes the appearance.
Simon Diaz there now on for Olympic, and
got the same barber, I think, as Jacob Gittins.
Take some notes, kids, there. You've got, of course, one of our partners in Diamond Barbers. They are at 3 locations in Parap, Bellamac and the CBD. I'm sure join Jacob Gittins and Simon Diaz, who, safe to say, they may see Nico and his team. And maybe one for the viewers, possibly. Of course, Darwin is a very multicultural community. Simon Diaz and Alejandro Diaz, there may or may not be some connection. I know that Simon is also Colombian, so there may or may not be a connection there, but both, as we've seen with Alejandro, exciting football, and I'm told the same for Simon. We'll see what the substitute can offer the Reds in the final 20 minutes of regulation. And now Geekus comes wide for Billy Mellis. Forward press being made by Port Darwin, or the Olympic escape out of it with possession. Ponlu Yin. Reeve back to Yin. And now Matete. Olympic, another opportunity possibly. Good interception by Crean. Now it's Alejandro Diaz. Does well to back into Reeve. Billy Miller stands firm. So does Will Reeve. Matete tries to compete, but now Port Darwin an opportunity here. And it's spilled out to Isaac Paul. The forward comes back across goal. And now it's Dreesy and Akers, but Kwana makes a last-ditch attempt. And now Sheridan looks to return it to Dreesy, who'll comfortably keep that in play and playing across and possibly cross that ball with as much pace as he had. And unfortunately couldn't quite turn that into the box. He
just couldn't wrap his foot around it to cut that one back there, as we see here. The replay, the ball disappears off into the night sky. And Isaac Paul could have maybe been selfish and driven on, but he tried to play the team game, put the cross in, just didn't have enough juice to get there on the full and was able to be cut out. But it's better. The substitutions are doing their job for Ricky Fulton here, because Port, for the first 20 minutes of this second half, have looked off the pace. They're now starting to play themselves back in a little bit, but unfortunately the game's a little bit too far gone.
And now another substitution for Damon Port in the Olympic bench. It's the number 9, Luis Da Costa, who has come off the pitch and replacing him, John.
Frank Gibson's on, so he's gone straight up top as well. They're playing a very high line here, Olympic. I guess when you're 5 goals up, you can do that. So Thompson will be trying to get amongst the goals. Sorry, Gibson will be trying to get amongst the goals as well.
Absolutely, and another one of those players, we're told, from the men's Premier League side who has earned his opportunity from the reserves team. Of course, in action later this weekend, and we'll see what Gibson can do. Now Ponlu Yin, skillfully done by Ponlu Yin, eventually extinguished by Port Darwin at the expense of a corner. And in terms of substitute impact, certainly Ponlu Yin has injected that fresh energy in. Quick corner here, played out wide and short for Mushigero. Paul cross from the midfielder there, and O'Shea will clear with little to no trouble. Isaac Paul just impeded slightly, and that's a foul.
So much time there for Mushigero and space. I thought he may have taken 1 or 2 steps forward and had a lash there. He probably had more time than he realised and put in a cross that was rather underwhelming, unfortunately.
Unfortunately for him, to the joy of Port Darwin, no further pressure on their goal. Rory Hood taking a beeline for length. He wanted to go long, but unfortunately it wasn't on that time. And now Port Darwin a little under pressure here. Massimo, nice win there from Gibson. Simon Diaz trying to get there ahead of O'Shea, but he gets there comfortably. Tall centre half, looking to go outside of the foot himself, and Isaac Paul will look to get on to the end of this, but Mushigero stands his ground. Nyakuri, William Reeve, back to Larry Nyakuri. Simon Diaz keeps this in for the Reds and look to go forward for his side. Getting himself into a little bit of trouble, but escaping out of it. Simon Diaz. Atete. Ponmuyin looking to thread through, and Gibson, but again, once again, great wall of O'Shea just keeping that one out. And now Diaz has come a little more central now to influence the game. Dreesy plays forward Ahmed. Good work for Port Darwin, just keeping some possession here. And now Dreesy trying to load up and just falls graciously into the arms of Gekas there, but better intent from Port Darwin.
Certainly, and I want to take a moment here as the ball's put out for treatment to come out here for Larry Nyakuri. I think looks like he's cramping in his groin potentially.
Yep.
Give Tim Lay some credit too. Fantastic advantage that he played for Olympic to come out. Obviously, it was snuffed out in the end by O'Shea. But you know, we're always very critical to pick out their mistakes. Let's give some credit there. It was fantastic advantage by referee Lay.
Absolutely, and like one of the goal scorers for his double Mitchell Amity, Tim Lay is one of the veteran referees here in the top-end game, and certainly adjudicating that passage of play expertly, and looks to be, to John's point, the end of the night for Larry Nyakuri. Just there's some cramp in the groin or possibly a slight strain, but nonetheless a substitute made.
Yeah, certainly looks in a bit of discomfort, doesn't he? And Tommy Mavros comes on as the substitute there, so we're pretty well emptying the bench here for Olympics, so they'll be straight back in. And Port will do the sporting thing here and throw it back. Not sure that Diaz has had enough time in the gym or on the creatine to throw this back, but rather unsportingly, Ahmed's run and take that. He needs to give this back here. Fair play. Olympic put it out so they can make a change, and probably unnecessary, but Reeve has let him know that that's not the way we do things around here. And hopefully this doesn't get really unsavoury.
Of course, it's the sporting thing to do to return the ball upon an injury like that, but to my lack of knowledge, John, I'm not sure if it's in the FIFA laws of the game that it's a written rule, or if more of it's just a sportsmanlike thing.
No, it's not a written rule at all. But the point being here, look, Reeves taken into his own hands, but you know the leadership at Port Darwin needed to pull Jamal up there and just hand that one back over, but let them deal with it. Instead, I think Reeves going to find himself probably in the book with an unnecessary caution that could come back to haunt him at the back end of the year with an accumulation of yellows.
Of course, the midfielder is prone to putting in a few challenges here and there, and that could come back to haunt him later in the season. And it will be interesting just to see what Port Darwin do here, of course, with the... And that's very well done there. Gives the ball back is Fisher. And I do applaud that. That is great sportsmanship. I think Tim Lay wanted to bring the ball back for a second attempt. He wasn't ready for the free kick.
No,
but
I didn't think he's done admonishing the players. Right, I think there's going to be yellow cards all around here for Ahmed and for Reeve, and he needed to do that and get that into his notebook before it was play on. But you've seen the intent here from Port; they're going to give the ball back, and it'll be a goal kick.
Great sportsmanship
at the feet of the keeper, which is where it should have been, and we didn't need all this to start with.
Possibly, maybe the memo not being made across to Ahmed, who just wanted to play football, I guess, and saw himself, I guess, one-on-one with the keeper, and just thought he'd take the opportunity. But that's one for some of the younger kids at home. But nonetheless, not quite sure what referee Tim Lay's blown for here. I think he wants to retake the free kick.
Yeah, it'll be the same again. We'll spend the next 60 seconds setting this one up, and I think Port Darwin will put the ball out again for a goal kick. And while they're doing that, there's a substitute ready to go here for Port Darwin. So it'll be Deng Jock, I imagine, coming on. I'm not sure it'll be at the expense of Isaac Paul, or if maybe they're just going to pull Ahmed off and cool him down a little bit, and Ricky have a little bit of a word to him. So we'll see what happens here after this ball's put out by Port Darwin.
And of course, nonetheless, Gekas will need to be attentive to this. Fisher might have let it out of his system with that previous ball out of play. He may fancy this attempt on the second go, and we'll see what he does. And that's very well done. Very well done by the Port Darwin number 4 in Jamie Fisher. Fantastic sportsmanship shown there, and he's straight back into the defensive duties, and karma works out in the end. Port Darwin come away with the ball. Now Massimo looks for Creasy, and now Quana, who's evaded the challenge of the speedy defender, and Gibson unfortunately strained to an offside position, had to readjust his run. It's come out for Port Darwin. And now it looks like Darwin Olympic have joined that.
The ball had already gone out about 30 metres upfield, George. The linesman had flagged for it, but nobody had given half the defenders and the attackers from Olympic the memo.
And it seems an Olympic player has joined the substitution orders here. And at the end of the night for Esper Mushigero, and coming on.
Adam Davies coming on, and then for Port Darwin, like we expected, he sacrificed Isaac Paul, wasn't able to get amongst the goals tonight. And Deng will come on, and it'll be a straight swap up front.
As we saw Joel Benicia, and now Isaac Paul. Of course, Coach Ricky Fulton knows more than others and how to manage a team. It's, of course, a marathon, not a sprint, is the Men's Premier League, and just all about nurturing those young players and ensuring you don't burn them out too early and cause serious injury.
Yeah, and managing expectations in game time too. Like in a game like this with 10 minutes to go at 5-0, you know, Isaac Paul's going to be really critical to Port Darwin's chances in games moving forward next week and thereafter. And you've got to give your other players some game time as well, and Deng needs to find some form. So, you know, now's the opportunity to empty that bench, get some players in, and also maybe test a few things out that he's been looking at in training under match situation, but where there's not really anything further to lose at this point, because they're not going to find 5 goals in 10 minutes.
No, they may not find 5 in 10, but that player management might come in handy. They do have a Saturday night blockbuster next week against the grand final champions of the previous campaign, the Mindel Aces, and so Port Darwin will need to have and be ready for that match next week. Now Simon Diaz, good challenge by Jacob Gittins, showing his experience, the defender there, just to extinguish that attack. But shaping up to be another blockbuster between Mindel Aces and Port Darwin next week on Saturday night.
And let's not forget, we've got 2 blockbuster games tomorrow night as well. It's only Friday night. There's still plenty of Men's Premier League action to go in this round 5.
That's for sure. 4 p.m, of course, Darwin Hearts will entertain Hellenic Athletic Club, and then drawn out there is the grand final rematch of seasons previous. Of course, I think 2020 had Mindel Aces taking on the Rowdies in Casuarina, who were victorious midweek against Garuda FC. We'll see if that fatigue comes to impact them, as we've seen in previous rounds with other clubs in cup competition, but that's for tomorrow. Tonight we still have some football to play, and now Gibson threaded through by a ball. Billy Mellis, good strength and body shown by both players there, and Reeve coming across there needs to be careful here, on a caution of course already, and pressure put on there. Massimo, ball stays in, William Reeve, and eventually the ball found its way out, and with the Reds.
And you touched on Casuarina there, George, and obviously we'll focus on this game, but you know, not just the physical tiredness of backing up from that midweek cup match against Garuda. It's been an emotional week, obviously with the funeral of Marvin Wilding associated with the club. So it's going to be a lot for them to back up emotionally as well. First game since the funeral was held yesterday. So, you know, that's Lee Addison and his coaching staff there are going to need to do a lot to manage that team, both physically and mentally, to make sure that they're cherry ripe for tomorrow. What's going to be a fantastic grand final rematch, as we see another substitution there. It's Sheridan that comes off, and Big Dennis comes in and puts his large frame into the midfield. I'd love to see him a little further forward, nodding crosses down for the centre forwards at Port Darwin, but he's definitely had some weight, had some creatine, and spent plenty of time in the gym, has George.
Absolutely. And now Simon Diaz straight off. Then ball comes out. We'll shake that one off. A little bit of a wake up on this Friday night. Of course, action here, local time, just 10:15 here in Darwin, the top end of Australia. And now Simon Diaz trying to get past a few Wharfies there, but he'll be escorted out of play, and now thrown in by Davies. Gibson, he's got Diaz there as well. Gittins for Port Darwin. Amoa getting onto the ball there, and now Crean, Gittins sharing the ball around here in the defensive half. Ahmed Comes away with the ball, body feint to bring Matete into it and puts the ball around him. And now for Ahmed. This is better from Port Darwin, and now surely a foul here by Tommy Mavros. Professional foul just to bring that enterprising run to an end.
And a couple of rolls on the end as well by Ahmed just to make sure the referee knew about it. But that's much better play from Port Darwin, stringing some passes together, a bit of movement, and then move the ball 35 metres up the pitch.
Fortunately not on line there by the substitute, just getting his feet wet there and getting a touch onto the ball and adjusting to the pitch in the field. Tim Samoa, of course, making a few substitute appearances already this season, and his impact will certainly be needed in the length of this campaign. Darwin Olympic, they've surely now have secured back-to-back victories, and thus far replicating last week's score. They'll head into their bye with, you would think, confidence back on the rise after 3 consecutive league losses.
Oh, most certainly. You know, it's, as we talked about earlier, there's a bit of a gap that's starting to emerge between Hellenic, Mindel Aces and Casuarina and the rest. And Darwin Olympic will certainly think that they should be putting themselves forward as the best of the rest, and then also starting to challenge those top 3. Confidence will be sky high as we move towards the end of the rounds. Once everyone's had their bye and the table levels itself back out with games played and games in hand.
Of course, and now a nice chance for Ahmed. Bit of a handball ricochet there. Referee says nothing doing. Put on the foot on the ball by Matete, and DaCosta just says no nonsense clearance. Now has released Gibson here with Massimo, putting the defender under some pressure and forcing Massimo to clear. And of course, as years have gone by, there has often been that top 2, top 3. So it looks like the remainder of this season will be very much a fight for that top 4, barring a capitulation of the 3 aforementioned clubs.
Oh, look, anything can happen in football, particularly in Darwin, as we've seen. But you know, it's certainly made it more entertaining through, you know, the last couple of seasons. That cherry right, which was a see a ball coming here. I might leave you back to the call.
And now Adam Davies has come out, rifled off the inner post of and out by Diaz.
He struck it sweetly, Davies. It got the absolute top of the crossbar and post there. Hopefully we get a replay of that, but it looks sweet off the boot.
Yeah.
I thought it was in.
Absolutely. Curling attempt and then rifling off the bar, possibly unawares to it was Gibson late. But of course that run in for finals, it's still only round 5, but traditionally as season's gone, if you make a good start in the top end game, you often are there or thereabouts come the end of the season.
Yeah, certainly. And the point I was making just before that bit of action there was that, you know, we used to have first, second. And so it was so important to be in that top 2. The last couple of seasons, first has played 4th. And so in this league, if you can sneak in, you've only got to win 2 games. And any team in this league can beat any other team. If you can string together a couple of games, you can win a comp. So, you know, it's not... We're certainly not writing anybody off at this point in time, but yeah, Darwin Olympic will take a lot of confidence, but it'll be good to test them, you know, the next time they come out against probably more fancied opposition than what they've dealt with in the last 2 weeks. But they've dispatched with everything that you could expect with them, with 5-0 back-to-back, and still time potentially for more here.
Absolutely, and of course you need to be in it to win it, and the grand final winners, Mindel Aces, certainly are the perfect example of that. They began their season in a rocky start in 2021, and as the season progressed, they only grew stronger, and of course making the finals on the final day of the season. And it was, again, 2 wins that were in the grand final and triumphant against University of Zurich. So couldn't have teed up that statement any perfectly for yourself, John. Mindel Aces proving you on point with their season last year, but an opportunity here Port Darwin, but unfortunately just bringing Cristiano DaCosta to ground, and the Reds will escape this one. Unfortunately, looks like an accidental placement of the boot there.
Yeah, it looks to me like someone's landed on his arm as they're trying to get out of the way, which wouldn't tickle.
No, that's for sure. Although is unawares to that, just walking off and away from the challenge was Jock. But now Mavros, nicely weighted ball for Quana to bring down, and now Gibson will offer the run. Can't quite take it past Declan O'Shea, and he'll go back to his trusty custodian and Rory Hood. Ahmed demanding the ball. Will eventually find its way to him. Brings it down. And get away from Yin. Forced back. And now Crean's there on his left. Back to Ahmed. Looks to get past Yin and has done, but looks to have run out of room there. And so throw in, but certainly he's been excited, Jamal Ahmed, since he's entered the pitch.
And that's what you want. You know, his substitute's coming in. That's a brilliant back heel for Reeve, and Hood's gone out and smothered that one there, snuffed it out. Huge opportunity, though, still for Olympic, and I think he's been brought down and we'll have a penalty. Or are we right on the edge of the area, George?
I think it was just on the edge of the area, as indicated by Tim Lay. He'll come in for a look, but yep, he's said you're just on the edge, but
yeah,
again,
correct
opportunity for the Reds.
Correct decision. He was half a metre out, but a sweet bit of skill for the back heel to put Reeve through.
And now, we saw moments ago Yin having the confidence to take the ball down. It seems as though more or less it's just being left for a few players to decide, but it's very close here, and no shortage of height disparity in this Port Darwin wall. It certainly doesn't like it's going to go over the wall.
Well, given the height of the wall and how close it is to the edge of the 18, you've got to think that Matete is going to hit this and try and go round, because you're not going to get it up and down in that space. So he's going to have to try and go around the wall, or do you lay it off to somebody like Will Reeve and have a drive? But they're the two roads to goal here. You'd expect he's going to try and test Hood, going around the wall, maybe on his blind side.
We'll see which of the options Matete will take. Of course, regulation time has come to an end here. It's Friday night. This may be one of the last plays of the match. It's Jax Matete coming in for this set piece, and it's Jax Matete straight into the wall. Matete again, and he's skied that into the car park, and referee Tim Lay, like the first half, says no additional time here, and Darwin Olympic Sporting Club bring down a resounding win. Back-to-back victories for the Reds. Looks to potentially revive their season, and for Port Darwin they'll need to dust themselves off and look for a date with the 2021 Grand Final winners. But John, how did you see that match this evening?
Oh, look, it unfolded in the second half that Olympic just absolutely bossed it. They picked up where they left off after the goals. It was very easy in that first 20-25 minutes. Once they got their noses in front, they didn't really look back, and Port Darwin weren't able to settle like they had in the opening of the game, and Olympic just asserted their authority. And there was a number of standout players across the pitch tonight in red and white. But for mine, I think the most impact on the game was certainly DaCosta. His touches were class. He picked up a goal, set up another couple there. I mean, you could pick any number. I've probably done a few players an injustice there, but for me, I think he was certainly the player of the night tonight for me.
Absolutely, a lot of great performances out there from Darwin Olympic. Not all doom and gloom for Ricky Fulton's Port Darwin side. They certainly showed that they can match it with the best, certainly with their positional awareness and certainly even general play, especially early on in the game.
Absolutely, right, and it's a style of play. As I said, they've implemented a 3-5-2. It's a different system. Players still learning their roles, and a lot of squad turnover has meant they're also still developing those combinations. And we saw in patches tonight that they can do it, and when they do it, they look dangerous. It's now just about putting together a performance that maybe isn't quite 90 minutes. They're not going to get a 90-minute performance straight away, but it needs to be more 20-minute performances with 1 or 2 minutes off, rather than turning off for periods like they did tonight. That ultimately has cost them the game.
Absolutely, and so Olympic will end at least their round in the top 4. University of Zurich on a bye, but we have had 5 goals this evening, all of them going to Darwin Olympic. They've taken home the win, 5-0. It's been my absolute pleasure to be joined alongside you, John, and we hope that it's not the first and last time of the season. We hope to have you again up in the top end. I'm sure you wouldn't say no to another appearance up here.
No, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure having, spending the night with you, and a pleasure from the FNT family for having me.
Absolutely, and we thank John for his contribution, and we thank you for your attendance tonight. Final score at Darwin Football Stadium: Darwin Olympic 5, Port Darwin 0.